All right, here we are again. I finally wrangled them. Same time, same place. We got an hour, maybe a little more, with two of the best minds in podiatry in Australia. These two are on conferences for trail running. I've seen. You've got one of them's on the board of some bloody sports committee. Tom, is that you?
I stepped down recently.
Too big of a profile. Anyway, we got them together. It's taken forever. It's exciting. We got shitloads of shoes to talk about. We got questions coming in. Tom, he's asked to talk about his recent races just to get sort of
priorities right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, he has to. He was wearing old shoes, so.
Yeah, and we've done nothing, Nitta.
That's true.
Disappointing here. Welcome, fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
I think every influencer with less than 2 years running experience have reviewed the shoes we're going to review today. So we're a bit late.
We're late to the party here, but hopefully we can provide a little bit more value in our reviews today. Maybe a little bit more accuracy, maybe less bias. What else could we offer that they don't?
Experience.
Yeah.
Yep. Comparing shoes to historical shoes and how things have changed. How the shoes that they jog in probably are better than the shoes we raced in for the first 15 years of our running.
No, that's just old man talk right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's been a while.
I am so sick of that chat. So sick of that chat. The old shoes. Oh, the old shoes. Fuck.
I'm 40 next month. I am 40, so that must be like a right to wear super shoes for all my jobs.
I haven't got my invite yet for your 40th, mate.
I'm going away where no one can find me for about a week. Going to hide for a week.
He's going to Tassie.
Yeah,
close.
He loves Tassie.
Little cabin. No one around, just him.
We're doing a cabin. We're doing a cabin at Second Valley, which is as close to Tassie as we can have here.
Where is that, in Adelaide somewhere?
It's, towards Cape Jervis, which is where the ferry goes to Kangaroo Island. So it's on the way to Kangaroo Island. Yep.
All right. Well, happy birthday for next week.
Next month. That's all right.
Next month. Geez, we got some shoes. How do we want to order this? Tommy, you've kind of taken the reins on the agenda today. So how do you want to play it?
Yeah. Maybe we dive into, just because, I want to talk about my races. So maybe we talk about the meta speeds first.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we the main podcast, they talked about them. We won't say they reviewed them because I didn't. They talked about the meta speeds, and we picked up a few things off that review that we thought we might be able to help clear up. So why don't we just start from scratch on that review, and you give us your own sort of unfiltered chat about it. Start with you, Tommy.
I'll start with an overview because going with the experience theme, I had the original Sky version 1 when it came out, which was pretty much ASIC's first proper super shoe. So prior to that, they had the Meta Racer. You guys had that one.
Yep.
It wasn't really a super shoe, although there was hype around that. So, so I never had the original Edge, but the Sky was the shoe. The original Edge wasn't actually, it was very different. It was a different stack height. It was lower stack. It was, a very different shoe. So then the next iteration, the Edge became very different. So they had the Plus. So remember the lime green shoes. I was excited to get those. And I was actually a little bit disappointed with the Sky changed dramatically with that whole plate placement things. And that's when the plate placement changed with Sky model being flatter and higher in the forefoot. Edge being that more scooped shape to the plate.
And just on that, their ethos was to try and separate running form, weren't they? Or running strides. That's why they did it.
Yeah. So that Sky one, with all the marketing material that came out, Sky is for the long strides, the stride runner, and Edge for the high cadence gait. And it was, so that they were relatively firm. So that turbo foam I found pretty firm. And I did a couple of races in them. I remember doing Sutherland to Surf in the Edge Plus. And I still would gravitate towards like a Vaporfly that was a bit softer. But then the most recent, like before the latest ones, the Paris models came out and they got a bit softer, I found. So I really enjoyed like the Paris Edge. I ran Ballarat Marathon in, although I didn't run well in the marathon. Like the shoe was awesome. I absolutely loved the shoe. And now with this Tokyo, so I've probably done a couple of sessions in each shoe, the Sky and the Edge, and I did race Sutherland to Surf in the Edge Tokyo. And so the major difference is the foam change, and then the way they're placing the different densities of foam in the different locations. So that's the Sky.
This is Sky, and this is the Edge that Tom ran in and surfed Sutherland. So the top layer through here, this FF Leap, is an ATPU material, and you can see the demarcation between the white ATPU to the darker color, which is the PIBA material that they've used historically. And the plates, you can see a real high rear foot and a lot of PIBA at the rear foot, which is a little bit firmer, and it's a little bit softer in the ATPU, which makes the rear foot a bit more stable. The surface area is it's not narrow or wide at the heel. It's sort of somewhere in between, and it sort of gravitates out to being much broader in the forefoot, but the rear foot being a bit stiffer with the PIBA midsole. And you can see this curved or scooped plate, as they call. And so that means there's like a larger portion of ATPU under the forefoot. So it feels quite soft in the forefoot, and it still feels relatively stable in the rear foot.
Yeah, so that's the Turbo Plus foam, I believe. They've kept that in the shoe, and they've added the ATPU, which is their new foam, the Flight Foam Leap. And yeah, so basically it's made the Edge, going from Edge Paris to Edge Tokyo, just a much softer shoe. So it's lighter. So I guess probably down to the lower durometer, like it's a less dense foam, which means it makes it lighter. There's more air essentially in the foam. So it is much lighter, much softer. So they've gone from like the first sort of model, or like the Plus model, is quite firm, got softer. And then I think this iteration is not just a little bit softer again. Like for me, it feels like a lot softer, considerably softer. So yeah, I think people that appreciate the softness, that want to feel that compression underfoot may like it. So basically what I found is, and hence why I raced Nitta to Surf on Sunday, and I reverted back to the after doing Sutherland to Surf in the Tokyo, I reverted back to the Paris, just because for me it's gone past. It's like everything in life, like there's a Goldilocks principle, right? And for me, it's like gone past that point of where it's a little bit too soft and it feels a little bit unstable, but also I try and explain it like it absorbs really well being that soft, but it feels like the timing of the rebound is not there. So although like mechanical testing, if you get in the lab and you do mechanical testing on the foam, yes, it's supposed to have more energy return than the Turbo Plus, but there's something about how it functions dynamically with my gait where as I compress it, I'm waiting for it to rebound, and it's not rebounding. So yeah, so essentially, for me, it doesn't have the softness isn't giving the return at the right time. And I guess people only know that if they're in tune with, if they've used a number of super shoes before and they kind of like know what they're looking for.
Now, Tom, you're very intuitive with your gait, because you've been saying this about other versions of shoes for about 4 or 5 years now. The timing of the rebound is definitely an element of your gait that probably promotes that. Like I've put on the Sky. So the difference in the Sky essentially is that they've got the ATPU on the base of the shoe. So you can see the plate separation. The top bit has the PIBA base midsole, so it feels firmer. If you walk in the shoe, you can feel the plate on the Sky. This is the shoe that, like, when I hit the ground, the whole idea is that, like, beneath the plate, it almost acts like a spring. So it should match the longer stride. I hit the ground with a higher impact. I spend more time on the ground, so there's more time for the midsole to hopefully compress, or the ATP to compress and rebound back. This is the closest shoe that I've had feeling to the Alpha Fly 1 for me, just because it does return. It hits the right spot back for me. So between our differences in gait, the timing of the rebound back is probably relative to how we're hitting the ground, I'm assuming, because there are a lot of people who've moved into the Edge Tokyo and found the bounce to be quite, responsive for them or very, very amicable. So what do you reckon is about your gait that makes you just a little bit more suitable with the Paris as opposed to the Tokyo?
I don't know, to be honest, because I think there's a lot of people who might have a similar sort of gait. It might just be the absolute speeds that I'm running at, like the actual pace that I'm running at, as opposed to my biomechanics or my body weight. It might just be that. I'm not sure, to be honest. Whether maybe I think that I actually do think there's some people that just don't perceive. They don't know, and they just don't perceive the difference, and they'll just wear whatever's latest and whatever's new.
There's a nice subtle way of calling me slow, Tom.
No, not at all, mate. I've gravitated towards. I've been the last two models been preferring the Edge, but if I was to race a half, potentially a marathon, I might actually wear the Sky this time around. I don't know if that sort of matches your theory, but I think the 4 foot actually now is a little bit more responsive in the Sky because of the higher plate.
I think the 4 foot is more responsive, but to me that is almost like a negative. Not that it's more responsive, but that it's firmer. And there's something about that Edge foam that just absolutely clicks with me. And it might not be the foam, it might be the plate shape, or it might be the combination of both. But it's so polarizing for me, the difference in feels underfoot and my inclination to one over the other. Like I adore that new Edge. I find that I'm very unstable in lots of shoes, but I don't feel unstable in this shoe. Like I ran the 35K at the Gold Coast Marathon in this, and not once did I feel unstable in it. Not going around corners or anything like that. And it just seemed to, like, wherever my foot hits the deck, it just engaged that little bit of rocker or fulcrum and get me just forward immediately. I think the other thing that we didn't really chat about was that more generous fit in the new Metaspeeds, like both the Edge and the Sky. And that, again, like my foot's slightly broader than most. And race shoes have always been like a touch and go. And this was one that I put on, and it's almost like the 4 foot didn't feel like a race fit. It almost felt like a lightweight trainer to me.
Yeah. Look, that's Tom, you dropped down half a size in yours, and you can see here how I've laced my shoe previously when I've worn it as well. I get a huge bunch up through here. So, but I can't go down half a size because I'm right at the tip of the shoe lengthwise. I've just got a lot of volume available in the shoe, which is, it's pretty rare for a non-New Balance racing shoe to have a lot of width.
Well, it just highlights like the need to try these shoes on because it's just so individual. Like we've all got very different experiences.
And can we agree? Can we agree now that like this whole stride cadence, the whole concept of picking your pace up by cadence or picking your pace up by stride, Tom and I move very differently, and we both probably lean towards the Sky in this particular scenario. So there's not like you can't prescribe this shoe relative to those attributes anymore. It is literally the fit and people's preference.
Someone did ask. There was a listener question about, if you're trying to actually gravitate towards, say you are striding, you're a stride runner, you're trying to actually reduce that, whether that's an economy thing or whether it's an injury risk thing, and you're trying to tighten up your stride, increase cadence, would you actually purchase the opposite shoe to try and aid in your, to get that gait attribute, as opposed to just matching what you naturally do, or go the opposite for some reason, some utility?
I think it's worth considering. It
doesn't really matter that because of the fact we don't actually think it
doesn't make a difference.
It does work in that way.
Yeah. If it did, it makes sense, right? Like if I go for a jog in the 80 Evo SL, like I take about 3 or 4 strides per minute more than say if I jog in a Super Blast, because it's a bit more of a nimble shoe. I tend to take more strikes and I want to hit the ground hard. But these two particular shoes, I could put one on the left foot and one on the right foot, and I'd feel a difference between them. But I wouldn't feel as big a difference as what they're selling them out to be. So the previous models didn't do it. Both these shoes are very good, and they will work probably for both people. If you were to race in them, they're not going to be a bad performing shoe. We're already seeing lab data come out. I know Dan Nash looked at like comparing the Fast R3 to his previous. I think he wore the Sky Paris when he ran his PB. He said, and his economy was a bit better in the R3, but he's just recently tried the Edge Tokyo, which has the ATPU foam similar to the R5 from Puma, and found the economy testing between the Tokyo and the Fast R were pretty similar, better than what he was wearing when he was wearing the Sky Paris. So there's no doubt obviously there's limitations to the test, right? Meaning that there are 5 to 7 minute tests or whatever they're doing on the treadmill at a sub-maximal speed. How the shoe acts in the last half of the marathon is another question as well. You don't, but Julian, you said you didn't feel unstable in the shoe by any means. The upper is a bit more flimsy. The foam is a little bit softer. There's a bit more air in it. So there's probably a bit of more room for error, maybe if someone has a bit more body mass compared to the Paris shoes as well.
Again, if someone's just trying to decide between the Sky or Edge, I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like right now the Tokyo models are the closest they've been.
Absolutely.
Compared to the
we could say version one, they were completely different. The Edge was just a really thin racing flat. The Sky, when they went into the Plus series, the Sky was really high in the forefoot with that plate. And I didn't actually wear the Sky Paris off memory. I wore the Edge Paris, but not the Sky Paris. So I didn't see how far apart those two were. But these two don't feel that far apart, even though they've got the scoop plate and the separation or the flipping of the foam.
Yeah, disagree. They're about as they're close to the most different out there. I get to play with both of them.
Compare it to an Alphafly and a Vaporfly. Like the other brands, parallel models. Like if you look at it like that, they're close, right?
Have you put one on one foot and one on the other and gone for a stride, Julian?
I've gone for a walk, but I've also I've blind tested them with customers in store.
Yeah. Yep.
Come out, box down, chuck this on, go for a run. Don't know which one you got on, put the next one on, go for a run on the treadie, pick which one, and they're like, they'll pick it as soon as they stand up. They're like, this is the one for me. It's really cool. It's the best way to do it. And you just see like their face, they're like really interested in which one it was.
So what are the stats? What's the emerging stats with which model's more popular?
I think the Edge is more popular. And I know it goes against what you two boys think, but I think in store it's been the Edge. I'm not sure what. Maybe we're slower. Maybe we see more rear foot strike in the Edge based on the more rear foot strike in store. So the Edge being firmer and possibly more stable at the back of the shoe could be why they gravitate towards that. That's something I do anyway. I don't think I would like a really soft rear foot. If I'm going to do it, it'll be the opposite, soft forefoot. All right. We got so many shoes. We move on.
Do we chat about? Are we allowed to chat about the?
Yeah, we should. They've seen it out. Yeah, I think we chatted about the Ray. The third one that comes out, the $500 shoe. Yep. This is the Metaspeed Ray. This is the third. I guess we can say they're all the same stack height, aren't they? They're all running off that 39.5 in the rear foot, and they drop down about 4 mils. The difference in this one, it has a small strategic plate. It's like a pod plate in the forefoot through here, and you can feel it when you walk in it. But the midsole material is 100% the ATPU. The Leap runs all the way through it. So it is extraordinarily soft. It is really, really light. It's the lightest shoe that I own. I don't know if it's lighter than the Pro One from Adidas. Tom, do you know if it's lighter?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is a touch lighter. Yeah.
Yep. And you're sitting directly on the ATPU as well, aren't you, on this midsole? Even the insole has, you can see I put a heel pitch in there, which we'll talk about later. But take the liner out and you are on the ATPU on ATPU. So it's quite a thick.
I just weighed my two. They're exactly the same. 162 in size 13.
Wow.
Have you taken out the insole before, Tom? And
it's awesome.
Yeah. It is nice. It's probably around about it's close to around about a centimeter when you get down to the middle of the one and close to 5 mils at the front. So very, very impressively light shoe. I've only done strides in it. And I'm worried that this will be one of the shoes that probably won't last more than 100 Ks or so. But is something I'll probably wear for a fast 5K or a 10K, and that'll be the ceiling for it, I think, for me. But we know Andy Buchanan's been wearing this for his half marathons and doing really, really well in it. These are the compression lines after, you can just see it through here, after 6 by 100 meter strides. So we've gone for about 6 minutes, but it feels light. It promotes a really high cadence because it's nothing on your foot. So it feels very simplistic, and I bottom out the forefoot dramatically to the point where I feel the ground immediately. So it doesn't feel necessarily that soft to me when I'm running in it. It feels soft when I'm walking in it, but I feel the ground a lot when I start to run in it. So I hit the ground a bit too hard for this shoe and probably a bit too heavy and not as efficient as I need to be.
Okay, yeah. I haven't done any strides in it, but I took it out in the store and I tried it on. One shoe, just went for 2 steps. Then I gave it to the next staff, did the same thing. And then we looked at the shoe and compared it to the one that hadn't been stepped in, and it looked like it had done 200 Ks based on it looked like, yeah.
You guys will try it. You guys will use it for a race, I'm assuming. I mean, you got to try this sort of shoe for a race. You have to, just to see what it's like. You probably don't have that return of foam, Tom, like you're saying, but for a 5K flat out, this would be an extraordinary.
Yeah, I think a short. So I find it functions a lot more like negative drop because the plate doesn't go back to the heel. So the rear foot feels so soft without a plate, and it is lowest drop. So I think you got to hit it. And it's got that kind of like big taper, so it kind of the contact point is quite far forward, like just centered to just in front of the heel, and then it really starts to taper back. So yeah, I think I need to hit it more mid to forefoot. So it's going to be a short race. Just unbelievable. It's just like with the Evo 1, it's like you're running, almost like you're running barefoot but with a super shoe. Which is weird, which is fun.
It is.
It's a crazy experience.
They categorize this as the hyper shoe, don't they?
Is that?
Have we use that term yet?
Who's?
So compared,
I watched. Yeah, it's too much Instagram.
Compared to the Evo 1, like it's way softer.
Yeah.
So like the Evo 1 from Adidas was supposed to only last one marathon, I think, like a maybe 20K of acclimation, and then they said 1 marathon. I reckon you'd get a lot more from the Evo 1 than you would from the Asics Ray. We'll see.
All right. Well, should we stay on Asics then and just roll through the brands? Why don't we do it brand by brand at the moment? Well, what do we got next? Because I don't have them in front of me, and we're not allowed to show these ones yet. But we've had both of us have had these models now for a month or a couple of months, maybe. They're part of the Easy Day range. Although
put an asterisk on that. Yeah.
They're both tweaked for faster stuff. So the first ones we got was the Asics Sonic Blast. So the Asics Sonic Blast fits in the Blast family, which you'll find is Nova. Like if we go up sort of the tiered nature of it, will be Nova Blast, Sonic Blast, Super Blast, then a Mega Blast. So the Sonic Blast is it's a nylon plate, isn't it?
Half plate, half nylon plate. It's it looks like the Nova Blast does geometrically. But the midsole material on the top, it's split once again. The real base layer has EVA. It's about 40 points of EVA. I think it's 41 points to be precise. And on the top layer is the ATPU material, but it's a higher density ATPU than the racing flats in the Metaspeed range. It's 48 points. So it feels a bit firmer underfoot. It definitely is quite stiff. And in the forefoot, you can feel the plate a little bit as well. Or maybe you can't feel the plate, but that nylon plate exists to be in the forefoot, and I reckon that's probably the only thing that it probably doesn't need to be there because it's firm enough with the higher density foam in the ATP on the forefoot. But it's designed essentially as a slightly up-tempo base shoe. It's really lightweight. It's snappy. It's stiff. I categorize it almost like in the Evo SL category because it is a shoe that you can use for longer durations of running. I do get a bit of that hot foot in the forefoot. I feel like there's almost too much density under the forefoot with the plate plus the ATPU. but it's a shoe that if I jog 5 to 10 seconds per K, once again, quicker than I would in a general running shoe or just a mileage shoe. So I categorize it as like that Evo SL or even that New Balance Rebel V5 category, but on the firmer side and still very, very stable. So I don't know where you're going to sell it comparatively. I think it's going to be the shoe you use for a pickup run, but you could probably use it for workouts. Like it's light enough, it's snappy enough, it's durable. Yeah. So I don't know what you thought, Tom. Have you gone back into it yet?
No, I haven't actually. The first I've run it a couple of times, and then on the long, I did use it for a long run, and it slightly irritated my extensor tendons. It mightn't have been the shoe; it might have just been sometimes I laced too hard. But I thought I enjoyed it. I mean, really enjoyed the underfoot feel. It just, I guess it's more of like a stable, propulsive Nova Blast.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I used to use Nova Blast for long runs, but now that's just gotten a little bit soft, maybe a little bit, not as propulsive. But I think they're trying to go after the endorphin speed. That's a similar sort of category, but it's a higher stack. It just feels like a lot more shoe than the Saucony endorphin speed. So
it's a lot stiffer, a lot stiffer, and it's for I took it out the box for 30K long run, and I thought, this could be what I'm after, given I like to get going a bit towards the back end of these long runs, and I struggle with shoes getting sloppy. So having a bit of a plastic plate can do well. But I just found the rocker was just not strong enough for how firm the shoe was. So I felt like I was having to work across that plate and work across the stiffness of foam in order to toe off smoothly. And I would have appreciated either more softness in the forefoot or a little bit more aggressive kick up toe spring. I think it could be the toe spring factor that could make this shoe like that little bit better.
I think the big issue is the 48 durometer TPU on the top. I reckon you could lower the density of the TPU on the top, and you could probably increase a little bit of the density closer to the ground on the EVA. And therefore, if you don't have the rocker, you get a bit more compression relative in the forefoot, so it creates a bit of a bit more of a functional rocker out of it. I thought maybe just the plate on top of the firmer, it's hard to get over the rocker unless you hit the midfoot, forefoot straight away. If you hit further back in the shoe, I agree with that. It's almost too stiff. But granted, I'm about 150 Ks in that now because I've wore that a lot in the first couple of weeks. It did get better. It became a little bit softer. It became a bit more pliable in the forefoot. So I reckon it probably does get a bit better, but they probably could have started the baseline top layer a bit softer.
Yeah. And then, when we chat Mega Blast, we go, which do you need a Sonic Blast? Because the Mega Blast is a super blast with higher performance intentions. That's kind of how I'll sort of describe it, I guess. It's like on a similar last shape to the Super Blast. It just uses, is it Flight Foam Blast Plus? Is that the foam?
Nah, it's the Turbo 2, I think. They got the Turbo 2.
Turbo 2.
That's right.
It's the Turbo 2, which makes it super lightweight and very resilient foam. It's super bouncy. I'll tell you a story. 6 weeks ago, I strained the top of my calf, the top of my soleus. It was after my biggest week I've had in like 6 years. That makes sense. And then I returned back after 3 weeks, and I was jogging in the Mega Blast, Julie, and I was just like jogging with the group in the warm-up, and I just jogged off for the extra 10, 20 minutes. And I got to about 40 minutes, and I looked down, and I was running 4:05 pace at around about 110, 15 beats a minute. And I ironically was running way quicker than I was meant to on the return back from the calf strain. I slightly tweaked it again. But I looked at that shoe, and I felt like I was running in a shoe. I'm a 2:33 marathon runner. I could absolutely wear that shoe as my race day shoe for the marathon, weight-wise, performance-wise, how easy it was to run in it. It doesn't need the plate in it. It is an extraordinary jogging shoe. I don't know. I don't think I have a place for the Super Blast anymore, if that makes sense, wearing this shoe. So it's a bit awkward. I know the Super Blast gets a change in the following model, but this shoe is stable. The foam is probably a little bit more enjoyable for me, and the upper is a little bit lighter. Maybe not quite as nice an upper in terms of a long fit, but in terms of it not being knitted, it's more like that weaved synthetic based material. But it's an extraordinary shoe. Tom, have you taken it for long runs or?
Yeah, one long run. one medium long run. Yeah, so the upper is it's like a race day upper. It's got the serrated laces, which you know what I mean, business with the serrated laces, and then I like the fact though I mentioned when I got it, it's got the race day upper, but the heel cup they've for me that extra padding and that extra stuff around the heel cup, I love that. So just from a lockdown comfort standpoint, they've still got some nice padding around the heel cup. But yeah, it's phenomenal. It's like there's nothing like it. It's just it's like a Super Blast but faster. So there's no EVA in it. It's all the turbo foam, whereas the Super Blast has that bottom layer, right, of just the Blast Plus, I think it is. And you can feel it. It's just it's like, and then for me, it's still like, again, comparing it to something like an Evo SL from Adidas, which is lower stack. It's just so high stack. It's almost like jogging in an Alpha Fly. That's how bouncy it felt for me. But more stable, obviously.
I think it's 46, 38, isn't it? 46 at the back, 38 the forefoot. I think something like that. But look, it's a
phenomenal shoe. Like it's wild.
It's funny that you compare it though, and you say, I don't know whether I would use a Super Blast anymore. I wore the Super Blast this morning for a jog, and I really appreciate the extra stiffness in that shoe. And it's just more stable, it's firmer. So it feels safe. I go out and run around a dirt road out here, and that feels better to me than the Mega Blast does for when I'm running 5-minute K pace. So it's if you're running every day at 420s, 415s, 430s, the Mega Blast will probably feel better if you're on smooth roads and you feel poppy. But there's days when you just don't feel like that, and that's when other shoes can step in. And the Super Blast it's so good because of its versatility when you're having a bad day. I mean, the Mega Blast doesn't have that.
They don't need to make the Mega Blast, I don't think. It's an extraordinary shoe. But my point is, I could race in the shoe, and I could long run in the shoe, and I could work out in the shoe, and I'd be happy doing all of those things in the shoe. So
to that point, I reckon the Mega Blast is going to be more of a super shoe for the masses than the Metaspeeds, the current Metaspeeds.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking more at that.
Yeah.
I hope it gets picked up like that too. I hope it's a lot of this is just dealing with ego to a degree of the middle-aged male, because they're the ones that come in and they want the fastest, sharpest thing on the market, and then just having a discussion around this is a better shoe for you. It's not as sexy. It doesn't have a plate in it, which everyone's obsessed with. But this thing here can take you to the finish line faster than those ones will.
What's interesting about it, though, we make a big deal out of the plate and things like that, but you could tell someone, you could put a shoe with a plate next to this shoe and you pick them both up, you bend them both, and you would not know which one has the plate or which one does not have the plate in the shoe from the baseline. It is still a stiff shoe. So
it's pretty stiff. Pretty stiff, yeah.
And the foam is the magic.
Jeez. Let's get ASICS half an hour on the ASICS range. How about that?
Yeah.
Where's this agenda, Tommy? I've lost
Can we pop into let's get into the Rebel, New Balance.
Yeah, let's do that. Have you got it? I've got it in front through here. It's not a casual shoe, guys. This is the Rebel. Yeah.
I don't have a pair of these, so it's up to you guys. You guys got sent them. I'm not a New Balance athlete anymore.
I'll let Tom kick off because you've had a good history with the whole Rebel line going through, or at least from the second version onwards. So you start going through your history to where it's at.
Yeah, never had V1. V1 was, again, totally different shoe. It was a real low stack, traditional flat. And then V2 went to supercritical foam, went higher, bouncier, really fun. So I got version 2. And I remember thinking, this thing is awesome. It's super plush. It felt more cushion than a Pegasus Turbo. That's the kind of category it's in, the Pegasus Turbo, just light, soft, flexible. And loved version 2. Version 3, small changes. Had that cool little hologram thing on the side. You turn the shoe. Yeah. So that was that was all. Yeah, enjoyed version 3, and then version 4, 3 mils higher stack. And I was thinking, okay, I wouldn't mind a little bit of extra stack with this shoe. I could probably go a little bit longer in it because I used to use version 2 and 3 for long runs. And I thought, okay, so this would definitely be more of a long run shoe with a bit more stack, but they lowered the geometer of the foam such that it didn't feel higher stack. So although it was 3 mils higher, it felt lower. And I suspect that's just because I was bottoming out the shoe and hitting the ground and feeling the ground more because it was just so soft. So I was disappointed with version 4. I couldn't really use it. It just felt like I was kind of running barefoot. I would wear it for short runs and for strides. And it worked well for that. It was just, wouldn't want to go long in it, but short strides. Felt like I used my foot and ankle more for the strides, which I like. Because occasionally I do it barefoot or I'll do it in like a more minimal shoe. But yeah, so this one I wasn't sure what to expect, but apparently I haven't actually seen the tech specs from what Dan told me. I think it's gone slightly, or it hasn't gone softer at least. Has it gone maybe slightly higher?
I don't think it's gone softer. I think it's gone 2 mils higher through the whole shoe. I think the whole stack height's gone 2 mils up. And perhaps they've left the midsole material pretty similar in terms of its density, but that higher stack surprisingly has made the shoe feel like it doesn't bottom out. I
did actually have a look at the stats. So apparently V4 was 30 to 24 and V5 is 35 to 29. So 5 mil. 5 mil. So yes, that makes sense. So it still feels really soft, but I'm not bottoming it out. So it feels great. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just a soft, fun ride. So it's in that category of a shoe that's not stiff in any way. It's super flexible, soft, and light. So yeah, this is the sort of shoe. These are the sort of shoes I really like. It's again like a bit like the classic when the Peg Turbo came out.
It's not unstable either. Like it's really soft. It's got a pretty broad face on the base, so it's good surface area. I took it for an hour just before we jumped on here as well through the national park, and without the heel pitch in it, it does feel a bit negative drop for me a little bit when I'm running down hills because it is still quite soft. And the rocker in the shoe is still graded quite gradually. It's not an aggressive rocker in it at all, but it is soft. It is flexible. I definitely enjoy the shoe with a bit of a heel pitch in it as well. Definitely don't bottom it out either, which was I had an issue in every single Rebel leading into it, 1 through to 4. I bottomed them all out. So.
Yeah, so I think it's probably like for me, it's a better executed Peg Plus. You guys got the Peg Plus?
Yeah, it's better than the Peg Plus. I'd still use foot and ankle a lot more in the Peg Plus for strides and things like that. I still would use this for strides, but I couldn't take Peg Plus for an hour without loading the calf a lot more than what I would in this particular shoe. Yeah. It's a
so
nice
we got
shoe.
We got a question, Nitta. I think it was from maybe Paul about would you comparing Rebel V5 versus Adidas Evo SL?
Look, I think categorically, I mean, you've used it as an example, putting it next to Peg Plus. I think it probably is comparable to that and the Evo SL. The Evo SL is just a firmer midsole. The Light Strike Pro is firmer. It's snappier. The geometry of the Evo SL is just a bit more aggressive in the forefoot with the rocker. You get more from it. It's a bit more nimble shoe, but they're both lightweight. They're both built as a non-plated base utility shoe, which you can use for a lot of different things. If you prefer a slightly softer ride or you may be slightly lighter weight, you might prefer the Rebel. But I would say the masses probably would, on terms, probably enjoy the Evo SL a little bit more for the slightly faster, longer durations of running, perhaps. Maybe the softer foam probably becomes a bit more tedious at the end of the long duration. But look, I enjoyed it for an hour. It's definitely not quite as nimble as an Evo SL, but categorically pretty similar. And if you don't like the firmness of the Evo SL, the one thing I'll say, even though the foam is softer, it's probably more stable than the Evo SL. The Evo SL has that smaller surface area in the middle and the rear foot. So this probably categorically, because it's got a really broad surface area, may actually be a bit more stable, even though it's a softer midsole. So it's a great use of geometry to keep this shoe stable with the soft foam. So I think it's a pretty good play. It's a huge update from all the other Rebels. And it's definitely probably, it's more enjoyable to me than, I'd take it for a longer run more than the 1080 at the moment as well, which feels a little bit too soft and arduous to wear. So I think it's probably one of their better jogging shoes at the moment for New Balance. So
yeah, it's definitely a better fit than the Evo SL. And that'll probably get it over the line for a lot of people. And it is more stable, but the Evo SL has that long run capability, which I don't think this shoe quite has, given how flexible it is. Can get a bit mushy after an hour, I reckon, like you said.
The other comparison I got on this one is the because I've been wearing it a fair bit lately, is the Hoka Mac 6.
Yeah.
You guys running that?
No. Nah, not yet. Nah.
Yeah, so it's ballpark similar sort of category in the sense that it's light, softish, pretty flexible, no plate.
Is that nitrogen infused EVA? Is that
nitrogen
EVA
infused EVA? Yeah. So nice like rebound to it. Doesn't bottom out. So it's just a little bit firmer than the Rebel. Firmer than the Rebel. Maybe and it's slightly more stable and probably similar firmness to the Evo SL. But more stable and doesn't feel as fast as the Evo SL.
There's non-plated.
Another good option, like just for a slightly more stable but light and snappy shoe.
Yeah, light, snappy, non-plated shoes. There's a bit of a market for them now at the moment as well, and they're almost becoming their own separate category of shoe now. It's funny how shoe categories almost sort of are created over time, and comparison to other brands, getting one that nails the market, a few other brands sort of building something that's similar and having their own little flair to it.
Yeah.
Should we talk Structure 26?
Yeah.
Because that one released under a real campaign from Nike. You got one there, Michael, right in front of you. Looks like it's had some wear, which is good to see. Yeah. The Structure 26, I mean, you're on the Inside Running Shoe Geeks podcast, and the main show we did chat about with Ashley Campbell, the product category line manager, I think it was, about this shoe in particular, as well as the Vomero line, which hasn't quite released yet. But she talks about the structure and Nike's historical stance on stability and how this shoe addresses that. So you guys listened to the interview, did you? Both of you?
Yep, did.
And what were your initial thoughts hearing the interview and chatting about the structure?
I feel like people still struggle to define or even demarcate cushioning and structure and stability. I feel like they are very arbitrary things. Stability for me has always been like not allowing someone to move too much. And for a period of time, I was not allowed to make people move too much medially. And I think that's just sort of become narrowed down to now to not letting people move too much at all. So, and they do a good job of sort of explaining they try to create a shoe complex using some of the modern base foams that still make the shoe feel cushioned, right, and soft under the foot. But then some of the old school attributes are not allowing someone to move too much. And I mean, and how the structure achieves that is like they've got a midsole, which is the React foam, which is soft, but it's still relatively firm compared to the rest of the market. It's not heaps high stack at the rear foot or the forefoot. You can see if I run it on this profile on the medial side, look how like flat the shoe is. Like it's flat like a board. Like Tom, on your board test, like this here wouldn't have much rocker rear or forefoot, the cheese board test. And there's not much forefoot through here, and you flip it over and it's got a nice face like surface area, and you can see they've used the side walls of the midsole material. They've lifted it up medially, but you flip to the lateral side, they've also flipped the midsole material flared on the lateral side, so you sit quite stable, almost like that guide rail concept in the shoe. You feel very close to the ground and very stable in this shoe. I called it like flat as a board, stable. I feel like I can jog in the shoe quite easily, but it still feels very flat on the treadmill. And then I can take it after the gym. I can go do like big squats and big deadlifts. I feel like this is almost like a running form of a Metcon. And this is the shoe that I think actually serves that purpose. People do go to the gym, they do jog, and they do mix in some lifting with it as well. Could I do a workout in it like Cole Hocker? Probably not. No, I don't think I've got too big a range of shoes to be able to wear it. I don't have as many stability issues. And one thing I'll say is like they've got a great range in the Vomero range. And let's just say the Vomero 18, that is not an unstable shoe either. That is still a relatively stable shoe to run in if you need some degree of like support or room for error in terms of stability. So it's much more stable than that. It is definitely less enjoyable for running for me personally, but there's definitely a market for a shoe like this. I'm not 100% sure if it's just solely for running, but look, you guys give us your opinions.
No, it's a running shoe, mate. They have a gym range. If it's no one's buying that just to go to the gym. maybe they want to do some walking in it. Then that's fine, but that ain't that's a.
I
running
know
shoe,
it's not just a gym shoe, but look, it's categorically there are alternative options out there that I think people still will enjoy, who are still stable even from that same brand. So.
Yeah, but this is definitely more stable than you can pick out the Vomero 18. That is not as stable as this shoe for someone that requires to be for their movements to be controlled more. That shoe controls their movement more than a Vomero does. I tell you, you don't. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I can't think in my mind population-wise. I mean, I can think of a really big planus or mobile foot with a big body mass maybe going into a shoe like this. I'm not sure that person's jogging much anyway. They're probably walking in the shoe a little bit more. So there's not a large population for this shoe for sure. There's definitely some population for it, but it is minor.
Julian, how often would you be putting someone getting out the structure versus getting out the Vomero if they're leaving it up to you to sort of pick a daily trainer?
You mean percentage-wise?
Yeah.
Percentage-wise.
Be honest.
Yeah, I'm just trying to come up with that number. I would say about 80-20. I'd say 80% of the population that walks in the door would be better served trying a Vomero 18 first, and then 20% would be better served trying a structure first. Maybe slightly higher number. Maybe Vomero could be 85-15.
Yep.
And that 15%, they've historically struggled with pronation-related issues. They're a higher BMI. They display high level of ankle eversion, and they're going to be much more comfortable in a stability shoe.
Yep, but it is a comfortable shoe. Like for me, I walk in the shoe. It's very comfortable to walk in. I like a firmer shoe to walk in through the day as well. I get less foot pain and less symptoms through the day if I'm in a slightly firmer shoe. It's an extraordinary shoe for that. So, so there's definitely a market for it. I'm not 100% sure our listeners will be, in that 15%, but there'll be some in there. That's for sure. So I still think
it should be 15% of them in there.
Yeah, well, look, but I think 15% of those people who probably would be better served in this shoe, I still reckon about 10% of those people, so 50% of those 15% would still probably go to the Vomero. It's not unstable. It's not an unworthy shoe.
What if I pose the question, Julian, if you still had the option of whipping out the Structure 18, what percentage of people are going in that one? Do you remember that shoe?
Yeah. Okay. So that had those sidewalls that collapsed laterally, and it was just that big cage on the lateral. Yeah.
And then it had the big you could see the medial post, like the crisscross, really strong medial post.
It was like a chassis in there.
Blue upper pink chassis.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
You know what? People love that shoe, but that was the one shoe that would come back in, and you're like, "Oh, sorry, sorry, I shouldn't have done that last time." Because at the start, the shoe didn't just the concave held up enough, probably for 50K before it collapsed on itself, and then you saw this massive, forced supination or
And that's what I thought. When I was listening to the interview, that's what I think. Where the innovation's gone is they're making the structure more suitable to a wider population and safer, so you're less likely to make a mistake like that. Basically, to put someone in a shoe that's too aggressive for them.
100%. And so let's take that 80-20 split that I said before, and if I said, okay, tomorrow we're going to change it and we're going to go 50-50. And we're just going to go we're going to change our philosophy, and we're going to put more people in support shoes.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to see much consequence to that with the shoe like a Structure 26.
No, agreed. Yeah, do you remember? You guys remember in 2000 they released, or 2020? I think it might be 2019 even. Tom, you might know the study, British Columbia, and they did the study on comparing the first Infinity, and they utilized the structure at the time, which I think was 20. Oh, I don't know what that was, 22 or 23?
22, maybe.
22. And they basically ran, it didn't get published, so the paper was probably rubbish. So it was a preprint, and they used it for marketing. And they showed, like, I think it was two-third increase risk of injury if you wore the structure relative to the Infinity at the time. So it became this sort of, shoe that would reduce global injury risk. For 100 people going into the shoe, you'd be less inclined to get injured in it. Look, that is a different shoe to what this one is through here. And you're probably right. This particular structure would have less risk attached to it. That's for sure. Because I'm going to say Brooks Adrenaline doing the guide rails historically and trying to remove the medial post and what was the popular shoe and creating a relatively safe shoe medial and laterally. Every brand has a version of that now to some extent. And this is a really good version from Nike doing the same thing with their structure. So I'm going to say it's nothing new. I think they're advertising as something different to what they've done previously. And I definitely think it is safer. But I think 50% going into this shoe, I think there'd be 20% of people who would say, oh, man, I wish I had the Vomero still, if they had the Vomero to compare it to.
And there is a study, right? What's the study? Was it a recent study on people's participation in running and enjoyment? And I'm pretty sure people are going to do more running if they've got a Vomero.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. I mean, we've got 75 influencers per day posting on all the fun shoes, and no one's ever worn a shoe like this before, so they don't even know how to rank the shoe. But this is the shoe that we used to be jogging in all the time, except for it was only posted on one side. So if you got it wrong, the person came back and the shoe was 25 degrees inverted. So this is safer, but it doesn't feel much better in terms of its clunkiness to run in. But it is a very safe shoe, and they are using modern foams, and so it will work for some people for sure. There's definitely a market for it as well. Just means my market for it is jogging on the gym and using it for squats. That's my
I'm just
market.
not sure about this whole like doing sessions in it thing. People are talking about the Cole Hocker quote. I'm like,
that's carry on.
Yeah. That's carry on. That's crazy talk.
What this did, when I posted, someone put the long run up a couple of weeks ago. At the long run at the Surf Coast, someone wore this. There were two pairs of this, and there was an Asics Kayano 32 that was running. And there were people that were like, "Oh, why would you wear that?" I'm like, people live in this fucking social media like blinkers world where everything has to be the newest hype amazing shoe. Like, we live in the real world. You guys would too, in a running store where you just see all different shapes and sizes come in.
Yep.
And it's not about what's the funnest shoe on the market to wear. It's about the shoe that this person can run 35K in that Sunday and run again on Monday. And we're talking higher mass individuals. We're talking like more extreme range of mechanics. It's not everyone is fucking like Goldilocks or whatever you call it, like Cinderella, or like just running like.
And a Kayano 32 now, like the person was running in, like, you remember the Kayano 29? Like, I mean, then you go back to Kayano's 20, like the Kayano 32 is a very runnable shoe now. Like,
absolutely,
it's not a Mega Blast. It's extremely runnable shoe. I mean, I have patients that can only run in, say, the Brooks Ghost Max, and they've updated the Ghost Max 2 to the Max 3, and the shoe suddenly feels like it's a fun house. So, but yet it's still really safe. So there is a large population of it, but it is the social media population. It is the the social run clubs. Sydney are definitely the worst, Tom. Fucking Sydney run clubs. It's unbelievable.
Well, I don't know. Melbourne, come on.
Yeah. All right. What are we at? 53 minutes. What sort of shoes we got left on this list here?
Stick with Nike for a sec. Did you guys get the Vomero Plus?
Nah, not enough friends there, Tom.
Oh, come on.
I haven't received it yet.
Coming. Might seize the benefit of Sydney, right? Got posties that deliver.
I've seen the shoe on the foot. A few people people in our group are running in it, and they love it. So
okay. So I almost went for a jog before this because I just wanted to give some. I got no feedback really. I tried it on. The one thing I noticed straight away is this tongue is phenomenal. It is like a pillow. It is plush. I do love a plush tongue and a plush heel cup. So I appreciate that. It feels good. Like it feels. I remember the first time I put on an Invincible, because this is kind of like. I guess it kind of replaces. It's that same sort of, full Zoom X midsole. So basically, compared to that, it feels a lot more stable. So straight away off the bat, put it on. It felt more like a normal shoe. It didn't feel like I was on some weird spaceship, which I like, I appreciate. And it just felt more gutsy than the Vomero 18. I had a look at it though. I was looking at the stack. Apparently the stack heights are the same between the Vom 18 and this Plus model.
Are you sitting in the sidewall? Is that what's going on? Or is there a fair bit of sidewall visibly there?
I'm just looking at tech specs online, but to me it feels like it's higher stack in the Vomero Plus.
Yeah.
You know about that?
What's
the deal with that, Julian?
Yeah. Actually, I should. That'll be somewhere. What heights did you have for it? 45.
So 46 to 36.
46. Yeah, no, that sounds like what a Vomero 18 is, like you said.
Yeah,
I've got a.
I don't have my calipers here. I would measure it, but I just don't have them here.
45, 35. We've got it here, but it's 4 mil higher than the Invincible 3 was in stack height.
Okay. Yeah. Because the 4 foot, I remember in the Invincible, like it was very cushioned, but the 4 foot to me felt a little bit like it compressed to the ground. Whereas this feels a bit more, initially, like just trying it on, it feels a little bit more firmer and gutsier over Zoom X foam. It doesn't feel quite as mushy and quite as soft, which I think is going to be good.
Are we looking at it as a long run shoe? Will it be firm enough midsole to get going for a long duration?
Maybe. I on foot it felt relatively light, and then I weighed it, and it weighs in my size. It weighs like 35 grams lighter than the Vomero 18.
Yep.
So it's lighter and potentially has more energy, like bouncier.
It definitely bouncier.
I don't know.
It's definitely bouncier. Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like Vomero's stable. This loses some stability, but gets some bounce.
Yeah. So no, I'm super keen to run in it. 10 mil pitch again, like the Vomero 18, which I appreciate. I like a high drop. So yeah, I'll run in it, and I'll post up something on Instagram about it. But so far it's feeling really, really nice.
That sounds good. And the only other one is the Sky 9. Have you guys been running in the Sky 9 at all? From Mizuno?
Didn't get it. Mizuno doesn't like me.
It's a nice shoe. It's got this really wide, safe surface area. It's got the nitrogen infused EVA, the Mizuno Energy Next, and it's got this carrier EVA foam on the base for a little bit more durability. I used to find the previous versions a little bit like they weren't like a stable neutral category. They were still a little bit like completely neutral. They're probably a bit more mobile. That surface area was a bit less, but this isn't that true stable neutral category now as well. And that nitrogen infused foam, it's not soft. But it is soft enough on the foot, and it goes for long durations of time. It's got that little late distal rocker on it as well, but it's not dramatic. It doesn't have that graded proximal rocker. It's a bit of a weightier shoe, but there's a lot of luxury things into the same thing. Tongue, a rear foot, everything's real well padded. The 4 foot upper, it's probably a tick on the narrower side a little bit in terms of the curve through the lateral side. That's probably the one thing that people who have a broader foot probably would struggle with a little bit. Otherwise, energy, like the energy return and the safety of this shoe, this fits into that stable neutral category compared to, like even your glycerins and your Nimbus, for example, but probably a little bit on maybe the firmer side, perhaps more responsive side. But I haven't had a problem with that shoe. That's been a really good daily trainer as well. That's been a good update from Mizuno. That's their best Mizuno Sky, I think, that they've had.
The last one was pretty good. This one here is a bigger boy than the last one. It's a cruiser. I find it slightly too wide underfoot to really like it. It's almost too much of a cruiser for me. But
they've made it. They've done that, making it stable though. It is more stable than it has been previously for sure.
But it's the trade-off, isn't it? Like stable takes away performance to a degree, not all the time, but like you're going to put more stability through like a big footprint. You're going to lose, or you're going to increase your ground contact time, and you're going to increase friction with the ground, I guess. So you're going to slow down.
Yep. That's all the shoes I've been. Oh, look, that's it. That's all I've got.
Do you want to finish with Brooks, Moose?
Oh, Brooks, yeah. So This is one that we saw like when we saw samples, and I'm like, like the staff put it on and go, this is great. And I can't really get it on, but everything about it looks good. But then sometimes things go pear-shaped between when we see samples and when it hits the store. So this is Hyperion Max 3. You can sort of see the shape here. The two different foams are called out really nicely. This is DNA Gold up front here. This is like their performance. I think it's nitrogen in. Oh, let me pull up what that is actually. I better get it right. I've been out of the
number 2.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't wear it. I didn't like it. Sorry about this. I should have this. Maybe I'll pull this up later. The foam at the back here is really stable. So like the rear foot, it's a rear foot striker's dream, because it's got like this nice firmness at the back, and it's one of the first of these like rocketed. This is a nylon plate, so it's a bit more give than something that's carbon plated, but it doesn't have a rear foot rocker that starts early. So people are very solid back here, like they're not falling back.
I like that.
I like it a lot. It gets you forward more quickly.
Yeah.
Like you're not too many shoes now. I think you're sinking down too much first before you're going forward. Yeah. And this shoe here is not the case. Like you're landing and you're going forward straight away. It has a nice juicy forefoot. The plate underneath is plastic, and it's not too aggressive. Like it doesn't feel like it just whips you forward. It handles lots of different paces. You can get going in this if you want, but it's certainly not a performance. Like it's not a like a race shoe or anything. But yeah, this shoe here sits as a easy day shoe for me, especially when my calves are banged.
The other issues with the medial cutaway?
Not at all. No, the foam's too firm. Like this foam here is for, if that was soft, like this is where a person would fall off at this section here and that there, because that's so firm. And you can even sort of see there's like a wing in the plate that's sort of again more strength. Brooks is some people might call them sort of conservative or boring, but they think about things that actually work for the runner, and it shows off in how they go in store, because they're our biggest selling brand a lot of the time. Not every season, but most seasons they are. And this is the Hyperion Elite 5. So this is that DNA Gold midsole that we just saw in the Hyperion Max. This is the first time we've seen this shoe, this foam in the market. You can sort of see it's got this weird little cutaway with these little bubbles. I think mainly just an aesthetic thing here. Cut a bit of weight away. It's a carbon plated shoe, but it's not like one of those crazy planks. There is a bit of give to it. It's also not overbearing in terms of how high you sit off the ground, and it's not an aggressive rocker. So through the back, like it doesn't have big cutout, so it is quite stable. It's an everyday runner's super shoe in that it's a lot more stable than others. Up front, it's just such a good fit. Like Brooks just gets it right so often. And this lacing system and this vamp that they've put together here, like you're just tightening this and it's just wonderful lockdown. Through the back, you can see you've got these little, like nearly all these race shoes have that. What are we going to call that, boys? That pad that sits at the back of a heel collar?
Don't know. Heel pad lock? Don't know.
The Vaporfly was
pad?
The what?
Horseshoe pad?
Horseshoe pad. Like it's got a horseshoe pad in there. Yeah, it's their best race shoe that I've ever put on.
Would you race in it?
Would I race in it? I don't know. Probably not.
Is this the first one they've used PEBA in their midsole for a race shoe?
No,
they had the PB, the Hyperion Elite.
Got it. Yep.
It's just it's just a better. This is nitrogen infused. Is it nitrogen infused?
I think the gold is PB.
Is it really? I'm going to check this. Sorry, there's shit from me. Why don't you go on and answer a listener question? I'll follow that up.
Sure.
Nitta, do you want to do the what? What are you going to say?
Do you want to do the heel raise one?
Oh yeah, I was going to say that. I definitely want to talk about heel raises.
Yeah, and look, did you have the question? Who had the question? It was a question regarding the use of adding a heel pitch externally into a shoe. You know, why you would do it, when you would do it, and how do you do it? And
go for
it. I guess, like, I probably use more heel pitches now, and Tom's got one through there. It's a form-photic heel pitch. That's a 6mm heel pitch, probably a size large because you got a large foot, Tom. We often use heel pitches in order to try and offload like an anatomical structure at the back of the leg, like an ankle, peroneal tendon, Achilles tendon, tib post tendon, and sometimes the calf in general. I reckon I use heel pitches or heel raises more now than what I did even 10 years ago, or definitely more than what I did 10 years ago, maybe more than what I did 5 years ago. I reckon historically, most shoes had a heel gradient or a heel pitch of about 10 mils. That was pretty similar amongst most brands. There were some brands that had it was actually quite unique to have a low pitch shoe, wasn't it, Tom? Like, remember when Saucony had the Kinvara, a 4 mil heel pitch shoe, a snappy base shoe. And you could almost make the argument that all shoes have gone down at least 2 to 4 mils. I would say probably the average heel gradient we see in a shoe is probably about 8 mils. Some brands have gone from 12 down to 8. Some have gone down to 6, and a good example of that's like the New Balance 880, which is a fundamental shoe that's always had about a 10 mil heel pitch, probably sits at, I think it's 6 mils now, isn't it, the current one? It's actually quite low. Yeah. So people and I guess the added extra to it now is because the shoe foam has become softer and more compliant, like the absolute raise or the gradient of a shoe, a heel pitch can be quite dynamic in nature, meaning that you use the example of the Ray. The Ray is such a soft foam and they place a small plate in the forefoot. So the unit of this plate through here is a little bit denser. And with this curved or bit of rear foot rocker, when you hit the ground through here, sometimes before you actually get to the forefoot, you may hit the heel and you may actually create a functional negative heel pitch or close to a negative heel pitch, even if the shoe is designed with a heel pitch in it. So not everyone is at risk of injury of having a lower heel gradient shoe. I mean, some brands build their ethos, like Ultra have 0 heel pitch shoes up to 4 mil pitch shoes as well. And in an attempt to try and run more natural, whatever that is, or in an attempt to maybe deload proximal structures like the knee and the back, etc., with less heel pitch. But often I would use a heel pitch, an external one. They normally have an adhesive. This is one I prepared earlier. So I pulled off part of the adhesive through here. I would use it and I would install it into the shoe. If the shoe has the complex where the sock liner comes out, I tend to find it's more comfortable beneath the sock liner of the shoe, usually because the sock liner is quite soft and it's an enjoyable part of the shoe. And I would install it at the back of the shoe to match the counter. And sometimes if you've got a really narrow base on the midfoot where there's a big cutoff, you can use a scissors to try and match the heel raise and trim it to that shape so it doesn't sit on the wall and create like an inversion or eversion. But if it does that, it wouldn't be dramatic anyway. And then you place the sock liner over the top and suddenly the Ray has a material with a pitch that's slightly higher in there. Of course, the limitation of the shoe is how much depth the heel counter has in it. This has enough to be able to fit in 6 mils. I know, Tom, you get close to 12 mils into some of your shoes and things like that with small heel counters. But what this also does, it actually creates the density of the rear foot to be slightly firmer than the forefoot now because the EVA heel pitch I put in is slightly denser than the foam. So surprisingly, this has a huge impact in decreasing sort of posterior calf loading, and it's a very simple solution. And we use them a lot now. So a lot of shoes, people who went from the 1080, the previous version, to the current version dropped 4 mils. If they loved that shoe and they went to the next one, they just found the stack height to be probably more comfortable. But I saw a little bit more Achilles and calf loading in that shoe. So I'd add an external 4 mil heel pitch and bring it back to normal. I reckon in 2020, when Ultra was sold here in Adelaide for the first time off a zero drop, I saw definitely more Achilles enthesis or insertional issues, and maybe anterior ankle impingement as well. You know, when your heel drops to flatter, the front of the ankle joint gets a bit more compressed. When you add a bit of a heel grade or a heel pitch, it just opens up the anatomy at the front of the ankle as well. So not only can you shorten the structures at the back of the ankle, you can actually open up the front of the ankle joint a touch more as well. So I remember accommodating most ultra runners would get a 4 to 6 mil heel pitch in there if they couldn't quite tolerate it as like a transition period. They never really had a transition period. They usually left it in there for life because it was more comfortable. So every shoe that I wear probably runs off around about a 10 to 12 mil heel pitch. There are some shoes that I don't put them in. A good example is the Vomero 18. The Vomero 18 actually has quite a firm sole in the rear foot. It's still cushioned, but it's still firmer than other shoes. It has a 10 mil heel pitch. It's the first shoe I put on for maybe 5 to 10 years where I put it on, I'm like, oh, wow, I can actually feel the heel gradient in this shoe. Whereas if I put on a shoe like the New Balance Rebel, for example, I put my weight on it. In walking, it feels like a negative heel pitch. In running, it feels like a flat shoe, but it feels more comfortable when I put a small heel gradient into it. Once again, an example of a really soft shoe. If someone hits the ground in the rear foot, temporarily the shoe might actually create a bit of a dynamic negative heel pitch. So sometimes it's useful for people who are having issues with anterior ankle impingement, maybe midfoot pain, and even things like rear foot pain.
I think you nailed it, mate.
Concise.
Any add-ons, Tom? Because you're a big...
No, I don't have much to add on. Like, it's, you know, obviously disclaimers, like, you know, you really figure out if you need it. The good thing about it is, like, if it doesn't feel great, take it out. Like, it's an easy thing. They're not expensive. You can buy them online. The brand we use often is called Formthotics.
Yeah.
It's a really nice foam, good adhesive. Yeah, and you just sort of you can figure it out. But yeah, if you need help, you can obviously reach out to some sort of health practitioner if it's an injury related sort of issue to see if you actually need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But honestly, it's such a simple, easy thing to play around with. Low risk compared to trying to use an orthoses with arch contouring, because there's more risk of like blistering or shifting the foot in a way that you don't really want or need it to move. Whereas, just altering the pitch, you can start with a 4 mil if that feels like it's fine. You can go to a 6. If you got bad Achilles, I normally just get people to go straight to the 6, go to the bigger one. If they're slipping out of the shoe too much, you can dial it down to the 4.
Yep.
But
and look,
it's just
the other. Yeah, it's right. The other disclaimer is, like, it is mainly used for running-based loads a lot of the time. Like, you don't notice the heel raise as much when you're running in it. When you stand in it and walk in it, you do notice the heel pitch. Like, it's firmer under the heel. Sometimes you feel plantar pressure under the heel. So it may not be required for, like, shoes for walking day to day, but it just gives you a bit of a safety net. It brings the ground up closer to the heel when you're running. There is enough evidence for things like Achilles entheosopathy, insertional tendonitis, that it seems to be a pretty good modality in reducing a bit of, compression stress at the back of the heel. So, and it becomes a comfort thing as well. Like, I mean, mine's probably a tolerance thing now as well. I struggle with shoes below, 8 mils, but that's probably exposure to it as well. But I also run on the balls of my feet. So it has to be relative to your needs and how you move to some extent. What about you, Julian? Person with a history of knee problems?
Well, I just don't enjoy using heel pitches in the shoe. I don't find them comfortable. Like, I feel harsh under my heel, although like it's just not that soft. That red pit or whatever the density. What is the density of a heel pitch?
Look, it's got to be close to 100 points. You reckon, Tom?
Yeah.
It might be more. I'm not actually sure what the EVA density is. It's EVA, but I'm not 100% sure what the density is.
So it's way harder than the foam of the shoe is. And
absolutely.
So I often find it's a bit irritating. And I also feel like I slip out of the shoes like regularly. And so I have to avoid it when I can. I'm not like you guys that just like get a shoe, put a heel pitch in. For me, it's like this is a good example here of a shoe that does well with a heel pitch because of how deep the cup is. Like, I'm literally sitting down here somewhere. That's like this massive, big heel area. I can put a pitch in and still feel secure and controlled. And the problem is that you have to start, like with a lot of shoes, you have to start finding lockdown techniques when you're sitting up in the shoe. And it's not my first preference. I don't quite love it.
It's funny. I'll have it add a disclaimer. You know how I added a heel pitch into the Ray through here? Because the Ray has the slip out midsole through there, it actually fits perfectly into the sidewall of the shoe. So you can't put the heel pitch in this shoe on there because it doesn't sit in the top line, or the sock line doesn't fit in the sidewall anymore. So it's loose. So this is an example of putting it on top of the sock liner because it's more comfortable that way. So that's pretty rare though.
Yeah. All right. Well, next question. Where are we? You're writing in this show today, Tom. Oh, actually, Brooks DNA Gold, 100% PEBA.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You blokes knew it. I didn't.
Do we want to just do one more question?
Let's not do too much here. Let's go to we'll go to one from Cameron Mullen. I think we've talked about high max cushion shoes a lot already in the past. What do you think the next big innovation will be in shoe tech?
Go Nitta.
Yeah.
Let me have a think. If you could think, like I think we've had this question before, and I reckon it would have been in the last 2 to 3 years. And I'm just trying to work out whether my answer is the same as what it is then. Look,
was it? Yeah,
it was sort of data driven. It was data driven feedback, like in field data driven feedback, where the shoe would put something in that would give you feedback on a metric, for example, as well. I don't know whether that's going to be useful. I think it will probably decrease the enjoyment of the run, for example. Because we're such a high point of technology right now in terms of the shoe foam being fantastic, and it's probably a phase that we can stay in for the next 10 years. I can't think of anything in the short term that's going to be changing the game of footwear, I don't think. But the only thing I think
what about more of the AI, like the modeling, for example, that Puma did with their Fast R?
Yeah, and they modeled the plate, didn't they, in terms of stiffness properties and things like that. But we don't even know if the plate's what made it more economical. Like, it could have been just the ATPU foam that made it more economical, and they just claimed that the plate became the economical part of that. Look, I don't know if there's enough evidence even in that paper to say that was a useful and then using technology to customize the shoe, for example, like 3D printing and scanning and things like that. We're already seeing a bit of that, but it's not quite freely accessible to the consumer yet. It's quite expensive, it's tedious, and you can't do it in mass production at the moment and make a lot out of it. But I think
keep going.
Sorry, the only other thing I would say is that, you see how On moved away from midsole fun, and they started using, technology like to try and decrease environmental impact by making midsole uppers with the with the printed based material that was like, the spiderweb material they use for Halloween light spray. Yep. Things like that are becoming innovative, but not for the purpose of the shoe becoming better and, more enjoyable or higher performing, but maybe for environmental impact. So that's a changing of thought process, but not for performance and not for enjoyment.
I was actually going to ask you on that, and you spoke about the On light spray. A shoelace is going to be around in 20 years.
Yeah. Do you know, I have to tell you this. I had a patient that booked in maybe about 6 months ago he never tied a shoelace. He was 19, gone to uni, never tied a shoelace before. And so he came in, he was super appreciative of teaching him how to tie his shoelaces. Damn. So the answer to that is maybe we need to go that way. So, yeah.
Well, what replaces them?
Well, that's customization. I just feel like customization is going to be the next thing. Like, shoes will be. It's been spoken about for so long, but I think when the technology becomes more accessible, cheaper to roll out, the shoes will be more customized. Maybe uppers, like for example, like the uppers. Like, I don't know how On do it, but I could imagine you could have, they could have 20 different, or say 6 different last shapes in every size, and then they scan you in the store, and you most closely match last 6, and so then they'll do the upper based on that last.
Like a library. You fall into one part of the library section of an upper. Yeah.
Well, what about realistically? that they scan your foot. You guys have the technology to do that within, like, to get a scan of a foot. And instead of them building it to a random last, I mean, these robots have the capacity to 3D print. And it's
currently expensive, though. That's still an expensive process. So it's not sustainable either, really. So you have to.
But being put into a category of 6 different lasts is still not customizable, really. I mean, you're essentially
closer to. It's closer to, yeah.
Brooks sells men's shoes in B, D, 2E, 4E, 6E, or whatever. That's like 5. You could go, okay, well, let's custom. You're D, so you can have a Brooks Ghost in a D width. So the ability to send that off to a factory, and then it can get sprayed up in a factory and shipped back to you. Like the scan gets sent to the factory, spray you get your light spray, then it ends up back at the store you got it sprayed at, or you got it scanned at, or it goes straight to your address, whatever. That's customizable. But
it's not groundbreaking though, is it? Like it's not.
That's pretty groundbreaking. You're getting a shoe made to the scan of your foot.
Yeah, so that I reckon that's good, and that's fit. Like if you can, you want to nail fit before function, and everyone that's worked in retail knows that. Like, you got to get the fit right. Yeah. But then it's like that whole black box of function, like customizing the function of the shoe. That would be
like someone,
step, and that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, going on the instrumented treadmill and seeing how your vertical impact is, and then you run on the instrumented treadmill next door that has ATPU on it versus PIBA, and then you've got like your feedback as to how it alters how you impact on the ground, for example, as well. Are you hitting the ground lighter or harder, and that becomes confusing anyway because people are already measuring those metrics. And if you're hitting the ground harder, normally that's not a bad thing for performance, but there may be risk attached to that injury-wise. So. Yeah, look, it's a tricky one. Depends what your theme is. Are you looking to reduce injury risk with technology, or you're trying to increase performance? Because as soon as you increase performance, there's probably a bit more risk anyway, isn't there? So it doesn't really matter. With more performance comes a bit more risk. And
are we going to go back to companies innovating and pushing more the injury angle? Because we've gone recent years to performance from on the back of like a lot of injury marketing and technology. Do you think we're going to go back down the injury?
Well, I thought that happened 5 years ago. I thought Nike, they solved the puzzle of the super shoe, the Vaporfly, right? In 2017, and now they're like, well, we've got this going on. So what do we do now? Let's make the Infinity, and let's say it's better than one of our stable shoes for injury risk. That didn't get published. That disappeared. And now racing shoes now, like if you've got PIBA in a racing shoe, it seems like it's behind the times. Unless you're Tom, you need to run in a slightly more PIBA-orientated shoe. And now PIBA-based shoes are a jogging shoe for a long run, like the Mega Blast. And so we're starting to see categorization of footwear a little bit using midsole technology, which is far and beyond the most and biggest advancement in running shoe technology we've ever had. And I think we'll stay here for quite a long time because it's such a big change, and there's still more like fun to be had with this as well. And now there's lots of recreational runners who will just spend thousands of dollars to keep this industry going this direction. So yeah, I don't know. Customizing the midsole material to the person's anatomical gait, it's always been confusing. We've been trying to do it for injury risk for 50 years, and it just turns out decision making and behavioral characteristics are probably the reason why people tend to get more injuries. The way you move just determines what gets injured. And
I'll just maybe wrap that up. Are we going to keep going higher, or have we reached the limit yet?
What are we at? Are we at average of 40 odd mils now?
I need to look at the latest Let's Run stats.
Yeah. Let's Run 2023 was 38 mils, wasn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah, it went up 10 mils over 10 years, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's gone up another 7 or 8 in that last 2 years, I reckon. Don't know.
Yeah. So where does it end?
It's the sweet spots between 35 and 50, isn't it?
Once you try this 55 mil shoe, you're not going to want it to go down. You are not got. You're gonna. Everyone wants to be this low foam guy, but until you put this thing on, and then you go.
Can I just put this whole anti-gravity treadmill thing to rest. You're still landing on your body mass, okay? It's not anti-gravity.
Yeah, it's lowering your perception of the gravity, though.
Yeah, it's perception.
Yeah, it's perception. That's where the risk is lowering your perception. What I will say, though, is that people that have moved into the fun foam age, it's been so enjoyable to go here. But like the other day, I sort of said the most enjoyable shoe I wear for the week now is the Evo SL, which it's not traditional. It's far from a traditional shoe, but it feels the closest shoe to a traditional shoe that I own currently. And I still enjoy that shoe at the moment more than that. And I'm not sure if that's because people just want something different after a period of time. It's part of like the variation of stress, the variation of what you want to have. I'm wondering if, because now we're talking about a lot of these shoes without plates, for example, and we have people who have, like opinions on footwear in good, powerful positions saying you can't wear plates all the time for running. So we're starting to see a demarcation of plated shoes, non-plated shoes, and traditional feeling shoes. But there are no traditional feeling shoes compared to traditional shoes. But there's still a scale of shoes right now, isn't there? And I reckon people will keep coming back and from the historical shoes to the current shoes. And that variation might be enough for people, I reckon, just to keep coming back and forth to those shoes. Like if you put on like a pair of 1980s marathon running shoes, you could definitely probably run in them and you won't enjoy it too much as well. But there might be one day you wake up and want to do strides and they'll be the perfect shoe for you for that particular day. So I don't think we'll see a huge change in footwear technology in the next 20 years is my guess. And I probably won't be running by then, I don't think.
No. Come on.
No. Yep.
All right.
Julian?
Well,
yep. I reckon that's enough questions for the day, I reckon.
I think so. That's enough. Yeah. You guys talked a lot of shoe today. You've got Tom, you've got Sydney Marathon. What's your shoe of choice?
I'm gonna probably the Edge Paris.
You're not gonna wear Vaporfly?
So I ran Gold Coast half in Vaporfly next 4 and really, really enjoyed it. But I just feel maybe just slightly enjoy the Edge Paris more. They both weigh the same, which I was surprised by. So
Julian, what are you going to wear in Sydney?
Probably a Mega Blast, I reckon. Yeah. It's illegal. I'm just going to try to get to the finish. Yeah. I've had a month of where I've run 15K or something. So it's not going to be a race for me. So I want to get around comfortably.
The perfect shoe to just get around a marathon is that shoe. Yeah. The
problem is that it cuts too close to my big toe, and even in the size that I am in everything, it just destroyed my big toe the other day. Yeah, so it's probably not the perfect. The Super Blast is a better fit for me. So I'll be in that maybe Super Blast.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys. Let's do this more regularly so it doesn't have to be as long. And every month. We'll see you next month, I reckon.
We'll do.
All right.
Catch up.
Sounds good. Good work, boys.
But here I stand, a man who's rootsy understands, and I'm going